Hey, what's up guys? It's Andrew Mil-Spec with Combat Training. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of seeking professional training. See, if you're just going to the range and you're shooting, that's not training. That's either practice or plinking. However, if you don't have a specific goal in mind with every shot that you're taking, that's just plinking. That's just for fun, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. However, don't expect yourself to actually get better if you're shooting for fun instead of actually practicing, trying to improve specific skills. That's practice. Training happens under the eyes of a competent instructor. Now, if you're practicing, you want the training so you know what to actually practice. If you're just going to shoot tighter groups and a piece of paper at whatever distance, you're very narrow-minded in what you should be doing. Now, I want you to think about it like this. No one is coming to save you. You are your own first responder, right? So, you can't count on law enforcement to be there. You can't count on someone else to be carrying a gun to protect you. And if you have a family, you are in charge of their protection, all right? Guys go out, they teach their wives, they teach their kids. That's great, but that's more of a bonding experience. Also, I know lots of people say, well, I got taught by, my uncle, he was law enforcement, or my grandpa, he was in Vietnam. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm proud of them. I think that's fucking awesome. Hey, I'm a Marine myself. I got friends that are in law enforcement. I got a long list of family that were veterans. I respect that a lot. However, we have to understand the fact that the information they receive is about 20 or 30 years behind the information in the civilian market. If you think about it like this, government agencies, whether it's law enforcement or military, they are hindered by a bureaucracy, all right? Civilian market, yeah, there's a little bit of bureaucracy, but really the civilian market is trying to produce the best possible product for our students, right? We want our students to go out and be an example of what a competent shooter should look like. We want them to be an example of what a competent gunfighter should look like. We want them to be fucking badass so that other people look at them and go, hey, where'd you learn that? How'd you get so good? Oh, I learned that from Combat Training, from Tactical Response, from Fight Training LLC, Green Line Tactical, Blue Line, Firearms Training, etc. Lots of great places out there that you can train with. Now, we also want them to survive the fight. We want them to win the fight, and we don't want them going to jail. I hear a lot of retarded shit on the line. People talking about, well, if they enter my home, make sure you kill them. Like, no. God, there's no training force. But, anyways, civilian market's making the best product. Special Forces trains with the civilian market, right? And there's a lot of good law enforcement officers and good soldiers, Marines, airmen, whatever, training with the civilian market. Those dudes are badass. I've seen them at class. They're fucking squared away. Awesome. However, law enforcement and military, that's group training, number one. So it's like, imagine one dude trying to teach 50 dudes. Now, these 50 dudes, they are more worried about qualifying to keep their job and not getting held behind in their career. And then some of them, yes, they take it very seriously in order to be able to win the fight, be the most effective gunfighter they can possibly be. But there's also a lot of law enforcement that aren't worried about that. They're worried about employment. There's a lot of military that doesn't really need to worry about winning a gunfight. You've heard the phrase, every Marine a rifleman. That's bullshit. Infantry has riflemen, all right? There's combat arms. Yes, they are combat oriented, like engineers, artillery, stuff like that. But riflemen do a specific job. And just because a Marine qualified expert on the known distance, range, and table 2 does not make them a rifleman. The reason why the Marine Corps is so badass is not because they have good shooters. It's because they have tactics. Now, if you consider the survival principles, mindset, tactics, skills, and then gear, that's why the Marine Corps is so effective. Read 3 TAC 11. Because they're really good at working in fire teams, squads, platoons, companies, all the way up and combining arms, and they have officers that nerd out on this shit, and they win fights that way. Not because guys are able to hold the gun still while they press the trigger on the known distance range. And believe me, I see it all the time with veterans. Again, I'm proud of veterans. That's badass that they did it. But I see them all the time having no clue what they're doing on the range. You know, I'm RSO and I help them out all the time. The thing is that they got group training that was 20 or 30 years behind, and they don't know what they don't know, right? Special Forces trained to the civilian market, 20, 30 years later it trickles down and it will maybe become standardized, but that's still hindered by bureaucracy. And if you're not Special Forces, you didn't get good pistol training. Pistols are fucking hard to shoot, and there's a reason why they don't issue them to everyone. There's a reason why they put safeties on every pistol. You don't need a safety on a pistol. You need a good holster. You need good training. Now, no one's coming to save you. You are your own first responder. You cannot count on law enforcement to be there to protect you. You cannot count on anyone else to do the right thing. And if you're protecting your family, you want to be the best, right? You want to be that badass that you'd want showing up to where you're at, to your emergency. You know, there's a quote from Jay Gibson. You know, whatever guy that you'd want showing up to protect you, to save your life, whatever, you know, mindset, tactics, skills, and gear that you'd want him to have, just be that guy. Also, I see a lot of people teaching their wives and girlfriends and their kids. Hey, you know, that's great. That's a bonding experience though, you know? And if you're trying to teach your wife, again, see this all the time, you're not helping her when you tell her what she's doing wrong or how to do it better. You're criticizing her. It's a different dynamic because you two are together. When I tell her to do something, she goes, oh, okay, that sounds really good. That's helpful. Oh, wow, I did it better. All right? Now, check it out. Lots of great places you can train. The other thing is people who buy guns and rent guns, and they go through this big purchasing period without getting trained. I'm gonna cover that in the next video, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys. Hey, there's new prices on private training on my website, so if you buy more hours of training, you get a better deal. Also, I just posted classes coming up for the next several months. I'm working on getting some other awesome instructors out at Aries Training Facility in Leesburg, Florida. Hey, it's just like an hour and a half north of Orlando. So if you're somewhere else in the country, fly in to Orlando. Flights are super cheap. Go train with me, train with Fight Training LLC. Have a good time. Go party out in St. Augustine. Check out my rifle slings. Links down below. Again, the best deal on Mil-Spec rifle slings. Stay safe, get trained, and keep fighting communism.